Story 1, The Jamison Family Disappearance, 2009, Oklahoma. On October 8, 2009, a quiet, wooded area of southeastern Oklahoma became the center of one of the most baffling mysteries in American history. That morning, Bobby and Sherilyn Jamison, along with their 6-year-old daughter Madison, left their home in Eufaula, seemingly on a routine trip. The couple told relatives they were heading out to the nearby Sans Bois Mountains to look at a plot of land they hoped to purchase. But they would never return. By nightfall, the Jamisons' white pickup truck was discovered abandoned on a dirt road, deep in the wilderness. Inside the vehicle were the family's IDs, cell phones, wallets, and even Madison's favorite toy. Even more disturbing, their family dog, Maisie, was locked inside the truck, alive, but so malnourished she was on the brink of death. Then came the strangest discovery. Under the driver's seat, investigators found a bank envelope containing $32,000 in cash. Why would a struggling family, with bills piling up and no recent history of wealth, be carrying that kind of money? The Jamison disappearance quickly gained national attention. As police dug deeper, details emerged that made the case even more unsettling. Days before they vanished, Bobby had placed a 911 call, claiming that strange entities were inside their house. According to the record, he told dispatchers that their home was haunted, and that shadowy spirits were tormenting him and his wife. Investigators later recovered hours of home security camera footage showing the couple making repeated trips to and from their truck, silently loading items, almost in a trance-like state. They never spoke to each other, their faces appeared blank, and their movements were mechanical, as if they were being controlled. Sherilyn's family revealed that she kept a handwritten letter describing her despair and anger at Bobby, calling their marriage broken. Some took this as evidence of suicidal thinking, while others saw it as proof that the Jamisons were planning to walk away from their lives. But the theories quickly grew darker. Some investigators suspected the Jamisons had become involved in drugs, pointing to rumors that they used methamphetamine. But no drugs were found in the car, their bodies showed no sign of drug abuse when later recovered, and the presence of their daughter suggested they weren't on some reckless bender. Then there were the stories of cults. Friends claimed Sherilyn believed a local cult had placed her family on a hit list. Bobby's father, who had his own bitter disputes with the family, was rumored to have threatened them as well, though he later passed a polygraph test and was never charged. For 4 long years, the Jamisons remained missing. Search parties combed the woods, cadaver dogs were deployed, and countless theories flooded internet forums. Were they murdered for the $32,000? Did they die from exposure after becoming lost? Or, as Bobby himself feared, did something supernatural push them into the wilderness? Finally, in 2013, 2 hunters stumbled upon skeletal remains less than 3 miles from where the truck had been abandoned. Forensic testing confirmed the worst: it was Bobby, Sherilyn, and Madison. But the bodies were so badly decomposed that a cause of death could never be determined. No weapon was found. No signs of struggle were visible. Just 3 skeletons, lying in the dirt, their final moments still locked away. To this day, the Jamison case is a tangle of contradictions. A frightened 911 call about dark spirits, $32,000 in unexplained cash, and a family found dead in the very woods they set out to explore. Were they lured there, killed, and left to rot? Or were Bobby's fears true, that something unseen had haunted them to their deaths? The truth may never be known. Story 2, The Disappearance of Brandon Swanson, 2008, Minnesota. On the night of May 14, 2008, 19-year-old Brandon Swanson was driving home from a party celebrating the end of the semester at Minnesota West Community and Technical College. It was late, close to midnight, when his car veered off a gravel road and into a ditch near the tiny town of Lind, Minnesota. Stranded, Brandon dialed 911 to ask for help. But due to his rural location, dispatchers struggled to pinpoint exactly where he was. So Brandon called the people he trusted most, his parents. For nearly 47 minutes, Brandon stayed on the phone with them, calmly describing landmarks around him as he walked. He explained that he could see distant lights, likely from the nearby town of Lind, and that he was heading in that direction. His father got into the car and drove out to look for him, keeping the line open the entire time. But the search was maddening. Brandon described dirt roads, fences, and fields, yet his parents could never spot him. It was as though he was walking through a landscape that existed in parallel, close enough to describe, but impossible for them to reach. Then came the moment that haunts investigators to this day. At exactly 2:30 a.m., Brandon's calm voice suddenly shifted. He exclaimed, "Oh, SH," and the line went dead. His parents tried calling back dozens of times. No answer. By sunrise, the search was underway. Authorities combed the area, using hundreds of volunteers, ATVs, and even bloodhounds. Brandon's car was found right where he said it had been, its front end stuck in a ditch. The dogs tracked his scent to the banks of the Yellow Medicine River, and some investigators believe he may have tried to cross it and drowned. But no body was ever recovered. What made things worse was that the area where he supposedly walked was rugged farmland, dotted with rivers, fences, and ditches. In theory, if he had drowned, his body should have surfaced. Yet to this day, no trace of Brandon has ever been found. Theories vary. Some believe he stumbled into the river and drowned. Others suspect foul play, though there is no evidence. A darker theory suggests Brandon intentionally vanished, using the car crash as a way to disappear. But the chilling detail remains the same, the 911 call, and the final word his father heard before the line cut. Brandon was there one moment, calmly describing his surroundings, and the next, he was gone forever. 15 years later, his parents still keep their phones by the bed, just in case Brandon somehow calls again. Story 3, The McStay Family, 2010, California. On February 4, 2010, Joseph and Summer McStay and their two young sons, Johnny and Joseph Jr., vanished from their suburban home in Fallbrook, California. It began with a simple 911 call made by Joseph's brother, Michael, after repeated attempts to reach the family failed. When he visited their home, he found something deeply unsettling. The family's two dogs had been left outside without food or water for days. Inside, the McStay house looked as if the family had left in the middle of everyday life. There were bowls of popcorn still on the couch, eggs on the counter, and toys scattered across the floor. The family's SUV was discovered abandoned near the Mexican border, sparking speculation that the McStays had crossed south to start a new life. Grainy surveillance footage from a border crossing even appeared to show a family of 4 resembling them walking into Mexico. But relatives insisted this was impossible. Summer hated Mexico, and Joseph had just started a promising business. Why would they suddenly leave without telling anyone? For 3 years, the case stalled. Then, in November 2013, a motorcyclist riding through the Mojave Desert made a gruesome discovery. 2 shallow graves were unearthed, containing the remains of all 4 McStays. Their skulls had been crushed by blunt force trauma. The nation was stunned. This wasn't a family who had run away, this was a family who had been slaughtered. Investigators eventually zeroed in on Charles Chase Merritt, Joseph's former business partner. Merritt owed Joseph thousands of dollars and was the last known person to have met with him. Phone records placed him near the graves on the night of the murders. In 2019, nearly a decade after the disappearance, Merritt was convicted of murdering the McStay family and sentenced to death. But many haunting questions remain. Why was the family's car left near the border? Was Merritt trying to mislead investigators into thinking they had fled voluntarily? Why did the family vanish so suddenly that night, leaving behind food, toys, and even their dogs? And how does the eerie 911 call that first alerted police, the one about the starving dogs and unanswered phones, fit into the story of how the McStays were silenced? The case is technically solved, yet it remains unsettling. A family wiped out, their lives cut short, their mystery beginning with a single 911 call.